Yo, what's going on, yo? I'm JB Hoops, and today I'm back with my way too early 2023 mock draft. Now, I'm just doing picks 1 through 14 for this mock draft, and I'm basing the order off their projected wins for the upcoming season, and let's just get right into it. So starting us off at number 1, the Spurs are on the clock, and I've been taking another big man to kickstart their rebuild, that being obviously Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama is a 7'3 plus big man out of France. I'm not sure how tall he is, he could be up to maybe 7'5", which is crazy. He's an elite rim protector with a wingspan nearing 8 feet. He's also super versatile on the defensive end. He can guard the pick and roll, he also defends well in space. And then he also has a really nice jumper with an impossible to contest release point. But he can also put the ball on the floor, make plays for others. And he can do all of this along with the regular stuff like dunking, rim running, and he also has very soft touch around the basket. All these attributes and measurements make Victor Wembanyama a pretty difficult prospect to pass up on. So the Spurs pair Wembanyama up with Jeremy Sohan, Josh Primo, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and I think that would be a top defense in the NBA within a few years. His game really speaks for itself, so I have the Spurs selecting Victor Wembanyama at number 1. Now at pick 2, the Jazz are up. This is obviously assuming the Jazz trade Donovan Mitchell, and it looks like the return won't be for a star, and it will likely be a boatload of picks, so they'll definitely be very bad if they do end up trading him. So I have them selecting Scoot Henderson, the 6'3 guard out of the G League Ignite, who I think is pretty much the obvious selection at 2. Scoot Henderson is a tremendous athlete. His speed and explosiveness is reminiscent of a young Derrick Rose, and his body control and touch make him a constant threat to finish at the basket. Scoot also has a super effective pull-up, so if you try and keep him out of the paint, that's a bucket right there. Defensively, he's really good as well, and so long as his three-point shot continues to come along, I truly believe Scoot has MVP potential in the NBA. I honestly hope the Jazz do end up trading Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they're really going anywhere with this team, and I think with the top pick in the 2023 draft, it could be the beginning of a new era for the Jazz. The Pacers are up at pick 3. They really could go in any direction with this pick. They just drafted Benedict Mathurin. Tyrese Halliburton looks to be their long-term point guard, and I like what Isaiah Jackson can do at the 5. They definitely could look into one of the Thompson twins here, but for now I have them selecting Dariq Whitehead, the 6'6 wing headed to Duke. Whitehead is a good shooter with a smooth stroke. He can shoot off movement, off the dribble, and as a spot-up threat. He's also an excellent athlete, can handle the ball and pass. Defensively, he's long with a 6'9 wingspan. He's also smart, and I think he'll be pretty switchable. With his size, strength, and foot speed, I think he'll be comfortable guarding wings, but I think he could also hold his own defending 1s and some smaller 4s. He's still got a lot of room to improve, but he is super young, and I really believe in his long-term upside. This might be a little high taking him at 3, but he is a full 1.5 years younger than the Thompson twins, so he definitely has more time to develop, but we'll see how he performs this year at Duke. The OKC Thunder are up at 4, and they are loaded with guards, and whilst I don't think they'll be drafting this high unless they fully commit to the tank, for now I have them going with Kel'el, the 7-foot big headed to Oregon. From all of the film I've seen of him, he just looks massive. He's super coordinated and skilled, but also very athletic. He has an insanely long wingspan, he can run the floor, be a lob threat. He can also handle and pass a bit as well as shoot the 3. He dunks everything inside, defensively he's a great shot blocker, and he just has a super well-rounded game for a 7-footer. With SGA and Josh Giddey looking to be the long-term guards in the Thunder backcourt, I think shooting is a necessity at every other position, and I think Kel'el will be a very solid shooter in the future, but he also just offers so much more and could form a destructive duo in the front court with Chet Holmgren. The Pistons are up next, and I think they take a swing on one of the most athletic prospects of all time, that being Ausar Thompson. They can pair him with 2 super athletes from this year's class in Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren, as well as Cade Cunningham and the rest of their young core. The 6'7 wing out of the overtime elite is an outstanding athlete. He has excellent burst to beat his defender off the bounce, and he has great touch with both hands to finish around the basket. He also has excellent body control, but he can also elevate and just dunk on people. Ausar is also a very solid passer. He has great vision and can make plays happen on the court. Defensively, he's a monster. He has incredible reaction time and can effectively defend multiple positions, and is also an imposing shot blocker. Ausar Thompson is probably more confident in his shot than his brother, but he still has a lot of room to improve as a shooter. But if the twins ever become consistent 3-point threats, they're going to be almost impossible to contain. So I have the Pistons drafting Ausar Thompson at 5. At 6, I have the Rockets taking Amen Thompson, another generational athlete to pair with Jalen Green. Amen is an elite athlete like his brother. He's an insane finisher with incredible body control and soft touch around the basket. He has a super explosive first step, and the amount of ground he can cover on both ends of the floor in just a few strides is mind-blowing. Amen is the better facilitator of the twins. He has amazing feel for the game and is very unselfish. And I do think the Rockets need a facilitator because I don't think KPJ is the long-term solution at the point guard. But I do think Amen Thompson could be capable of that. He's also a lockdown point of attack defender with great physical tools. And similar to Asar, he also displayed his instincts as a weak side shot blocker. The shot obviously needs to come along, but with the amount of reps they get in the OTE, I think it'll continue to improve. And I really love Amen Thompson's fit in Houston. The rim pressure would be insane. And I'm really excited about some of the pairings we might see in the next few drafts. The Magic are up at 7 and I have them selecting Nick Smith Jr. The Magic look to have their front court of the future sorted out with Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero and Wendell Carter Jr. They are loaded with a bunch of guards, but I think another go-to scorer could really make them a force in the East, and Nick Smith Jr. is an elite scoring prospect. He has good size for a combo guard at 6'5", and he can really get it done on both ends of the floor. Nick Smith Jr. has a super deep bag which enables him to create a lot of space off the bounce. His jumper is pure, quick and effortless, and he has range extending to well beyond the 3-point line. He can get downhill and finish inside, above or below the rim because he also has great body control and he also has a nice floater in his bag. He can pass, play on or off the ball, and he competes really hard on both ends. Defensively, he's really solid and has a 6'9" wingspan. The Arkansas team next season is going to be insane and I'm really excited to watch them. And in my opinion, Nick Smith Jr. has the potential to be a top 3 pick. But for now, I have the Magic selecting him at 7. The Kings are up at 8 and they probably could use another wing, but I really like the idea of a scoring guard in the backcourt next to either De'Aaron Fox or Davion Mitchell, and in my opinion, Keontae George is one of the best scoring prospects in this class. The 6'4" combo guard headed to Baylor is a pure shooter, has a super nice handle, and is a very strong finisher inside. Keontae George is not an elite athlete by any means, but he's crafty and great at changing pace to create an advantage. He also has excellent body control and a super strong frame. He reminds me a little bit of Jaden Hardy and Bradley Beal in that sense, and I think he would drastically elevate that Kings team ceiling. So I have the Kings selecting Keontae George with the 8th pick in the draft. The Hornets are up at 9 and I have them selecting Cam Whitmore, the 6'7" forward headed to Nova. The Hornets are stacked with high upside guards and bigs, so I can definitely see them taking a forward in this draft, especially because of the Miles Bridges situation. And I think Cam Whitmore could thrive in Charlotte, playing alongside LaMelo Ball. He's an insane athlete, dunks absolutely everything. He has a decent handle and enough counters to get to the rim easily. He's a very solid passer too, and he's drastically improved as a shooter recently, so that's very promising. And on the defensive end, he has the potential to be super switchable given his tremendous physical tools. He has a really strong frame, long arms, he's super athletic and can move in space, so I have the Hornets taking Cam Whitmore at pick 9. In my opinion, the Wizards really lack direction, but they still have a void at the point guard position, and Cason Wallace could definitely be a target for them if they end up in the lottery again next season. The 6'4" guard headed to Kentucky is a monster on the defensive end. He's super active with great strength, foot speed and length. He's probably one of the best point of attack defenders of the last few draft classes. He can create for himself a bit and he's also a very good passer. He can finish around the rim with either hand, has good touch on his floaters and runners, and is also a pretty solid spot up shooter. But if he wants to be a lead guard in the NBA, I think he'll need to work on his handle a little bit. But as of now, he's an elite defensive prospect, so I have the Wizards selecting him at 10. At 11, I have the Blazers selecting Derek Lively II, the 7'1" big man headed to Duke. The Blazers have a ton of young guards and wings on their roster, and I think the center position is definitely their weakest, and I think Lively could join their team and be super impactful. He's an elite lob threat at 7'1" with an insane catch radius. He's very mobile for his size, and he's a great shot blocker and rim protector. He covers ground really well, and then offensively he's a really good passer with great vision. He can finish inside, get putbacks, but also stretch the floor with his beautiful looking jumper. He at times looked out of place and struggled with physicality, but in a better system and with more experience, I expect him to continue developing. And I really like Derek Lively's long-term potential and fit with the Blazers. The Cavs are up at 12. They have a ton of young guards and a front court of the future with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. So I have them taking a swing on a jumbo wing in Bubba Miller, the 6'11" wing headed to Florida State. He's huge and super mobile and a really versatile defender with a 7'3" wingspan. I expect him to showcase his switchability a ton at FSU next season, and whilst he is still very raw offensively, the flashes of self-creation, playmaking ability, and shooting have been very promising. He possesses fluidity similar to Ousmane Dieng. He's a really strong finisher inside, and he's great at using his length and agility to avoid contact to finish at the cup. I'm a huge fan of Bubba Miller's upside, and I really think he's one to look out for in this upcoming draft. The Magic are up again at 13 with their pick from the Vucevic trade. I really don't think the Bulls will be this bad, but for now I have the Magic selecting Jarris Walker at 13. The 6'8 forward headed to Houston has a really strong frame which he uses to his benefit when getting to the cup and finishing inside. He also uses it on the defensive end when he's matched up with bigger players. Jarris Walker is also an explosive athlete, but what I really love about his game is his excellent passing vision, and I really think he has point forward type potential. He's a versatile defender, but also has a solid handle so he can push the pace off the glass and consistently make the right reads. His shot is also coming along and he has pretty solid mechanics, but as of now it's still his biggest knock. But at 13 I think the value is incredible for the Magic, so I have them selecting Jarris Walker at 13. The Raptors are on the clock at 14. They have an abundance of wings and a team that can really defend. So in this draft I have them going with Terquavion Smith, the 6'4 sophomore out of NC State. I think he'll nicely round out their team, giving them another guard who can create for himself and for others. He's an excellent shot creator who has a ball on a string. He's a really good shooter, a solid passer, and can really hold his own on the defensive end with his great hands. He's not a great finisher at the rim, but I think I would have even taken him as a first round pick last year, and I expect him to take a significant leap, seeing that he will be the guy for NC State next season. And I also couldn't have the top 14 picks just purely being freshmen and international guys. And I think Terquavion Smith is by far my top returner in this class. Alright, that is the video. I did leave a few guys off like GG Jackson. I'm not sure if he's going to reclassify, but if he does, he'll probably be a lottery pick. And just keep in mind this is way too early, so there'll definitely be guys that rise up and fall down. But for now, this is my way too early 2023 mock draft, and I appreciate it if you made it this far. Alright, so that's all I got. Leave a like, subscribe for more, comment what you think. JB Hoops, out.